Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you've got time to watch your horoscopes for your sun and moon sign as well, please do so, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will pertain more to your family life and your current living circumstances. Now, I've got an exciting promotion which will run from the first 2 weeks from when these videos go live. You'll be able to book a 45-minute Zoom reading with me where I will use astrology and tarot to answer questions that you have about one major area of your life in extensive detail. This service is normally priced at $120, but you can book this one for the first 2 weeks only for just $90. If you want to book this reading with me, or if you want to see the list of my services that are available, you can head to the link in the description box below. Now, before I get into the horoscopes, I just wanted to say to you guys, thank you so much for all of your warm words of welcome. I read all of your comments on my horoscope series for September, and I was actually quite overwhelmed by how much love and support you guys were showing me. So thank you so much. And of course, a big thank you to Lada for giving me the opportunity to present to your amazing audience. And now let's dive into the horoscopes. Hi Gemini, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. On the 1st of October or the 30th of September, depending where you live in the world, Venus in Scorpio in your 6th house will square Jupiter in Aquarius in your 9th house. Venus is all about how we indulge ourselves and how we nourish ourselves, whereas Jupiter talks about going to extremes. So with Venus in your 6th house, which represents anything which is out of balance, this transit is really highlighting any area of your life where you are going to extremes. And given that Venus rules your 12th house, which rules over rest and relaxation, it's likely that a lot of you Geminis are doing too much or too little of something. So this could be not sleeping enough, not resting enough. You could be working way too hard, especially because Venus is in your 6th house of work. On a different level, you may be exceptionally lazy around this time. The 12th house rules over being a couch potato and doing anything which is escapist in nature. So this could be excessively napping. This could be excessively watching Netflix. And with Venus ruling over your 5th house, which rules over gambling and overindulging in fun, maybe you're partying a lot at this time, or maybe you're gambling heaps. So with this square to Jupiter in your 9th house, which rules over receiving life advice and seeing the bigger picture, it's pretty likely that if you are taking things to extremes in one way or another, that there is an individual in your life who's going to sit you down and basically tell it to you straight. Jupiter rules over your 10th house, which represents authority figures, and Jupiter itself represents father figures. So there may be someone in your life who, this person could be a boss, they could be your manager or supervisor, or even like a life coach or a mentor who basically just says, hey, you're working yourself way too hard and you need to have more balance in your life. Or they could say that you're partying way too much and that you need to rein it in a bit. Now, Jupiter rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, and the 7th house rules over your romantic partner, your second-born child. It also represents anyone that you're in a close friendship with, or even anyone that you consult with. So your significant other, your second-born child, or even a close friend may notice this extreme behavior and basically call you out on it. Now, on a different level, with respect to work as represented by the 6th house, you may not be seeing your full potential here. So with Venus in your 6th house and Venus ruling over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business and your creative gifts and intelligence, you may be going really small in terms of how you're trying to scale your business. Maybe you think that you're only going to get 10 orders in the first month when you launch something, but this square to Jupiter in your 9th house represents an influential figure in your life who has a lot of specified knowledge or expertise, who is able to see your full potential and tell you how you can elevate your career. Jupiter rules over your 10th house, which represents your public reputation, your public persona, and your career. So they may be saying to you that you've got so much more potential than what you're giving yourself credit for, and that you really need to scale your business right up because you've got a lot of potential. And maybe this individual is encouraging you to put yourself out there in terms of going to the international market with your business idea or with your creative idea or with a product that you want to launch. Now, on a different level, maybe you don't own your own business, but you have this talent or this gift, and it could be artistic, it could be musical, it could be to do with cooking, or you could be really gifted at working with games or developing some kind of app or software, and this person is saying to you, hey, you've got a money-making idea here and you really should look at investing in this idea further. Now, on the 6th of September, there will be a new moon in Libra in your 5th house, and this new moon will actually be exactly conjunct Mars, and it will be in a somewhat wide conjunction with Mercury, which is of course your ruling planet. Now, the 5th house rules over romance, children, owning your own business, your passions, your hobbies, and it also rules over holidays and vacations. So I'm going to run through a number of different ways that this new moon can play out for you. New moons are all about the start of a new chapter. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to book a ticket and fly out tomorrow or the day after the new moon. It's more about the plans that you are implementing and what you want to see grow in the future. So with regard to romance, there could be a new relationship taking place, or you may start dating someone new. Now, this could be a friend or an acquaintance or someone that you meet online. And the reason that I say that is because Mars rules over your 11th house, which represents your wider network. Now, Mars also rules over your 6th house. So you could actually start a relationship or start dating someone in the office, or it could be your boss, or it could be someone who you have hired to do some kind of trade around the house, or someone that you've employed to carry out some kind of service. Now, on a different level, some of you may be getting pregnant around this time, and this could be very unexpected. The reason I say that is because this new moon in Libra will actually make an exact in conjunction to Uranus in Taurus in your 12th house. Now, in conjunctions are otherwise known as quincunxes, and they represent some kind of challenge or diversion. So with Uranus in your 12th house, which rules over everything which is unseen, your awareness of this pregnancy could come about through some kind of health ailment that you are experiencing, because Mars rules over your 6th house of health. So maybe you go to the doctor and you're saying that you're really nauseous, or you're experiencing, I don't know, back pain or something, and they're like, have you taken a pregnancy test? And you're like, what? No, there's no way. But like I said, with Uranus in your 12th house, this could totally be unexpected. And Pluto will have just turned direct, like the day of or the day after. So with Pluto in your 8th house, which rules over birth and conception, and also with Mercury ruling over your 4th house, which represents starting a family as well, there's a lot of things in the mix here which suggest that you could fall pregnant. Now, on a different level, some of you may be becoming a grandparent. And again, this will be unexpected. Now, it's not all about romance and children. On the business front, for those of you who own your own business or who are looking to launch your own business, this is a big indicator that you can have success with the launch of your business or simply with the expansion of your business. Now, because Mercury is retrograde, this is about doing some kind of relaunch or a do-over with your business. Or maybe you owned your own business and it had to close due to some kind of government restrictions wherever you're living, or maybe you had to close for other reasons and now you're able to open it back up again. On a different note, if you own your own business, this is a great time to launch new products and launch new services. The reason I say that is because this new moon, once again, is conjunct Mars, which is about doing something new. I know we're tying in Mercury retrograde, which is bringing something back up, but with this conjunction with Mars, it's about adding a new dimension to it. So maybe it's like a 2.0 version of whatever you are launching. Now, you certainly can be published or basically enter into some kind of contract with a publisher. And that's because this new moon in Libra will be trining Saturn and Jupiter in your 9th house. The 9th house is all about publications and Jupiter itself represents publishing. So with this trine to Saturn, whatever you are working on, whatever project you are launching or whatever new service or product you're putting out there, there will be a long-lasting element to it because of Saturn being in your 9th house and ruling over your 8th house, which represents your mutual resources. I know this is a lot to take in, but I'm a Gemini rising and I really love doing my Gemini horoscopes because I'm always like, oh, what does this mean for me? Now, on a different level, this new moon in Libra can see you basically picking some old hobby or passion back up. Now, you could actually be earning money from something that you do just for a creative outlet, or maybe you're very artistic and you just enjoy doing this because it's fun and it's arty and it gets the creative juices flowing. But with this new moon in Libra, this is a great time to actually monetize whatever gift or talent you have. And I'm not trying to be all, if you've got a gift or you've got a talent, you better make money off of it. But this is all about looking at the bigger picture. And I say that because Mars rules over your 11th house. So whatever creative gift or talent you possess, it could actually be rooted in some kind of childhood dream or something that you've always wanted to do. And because we've just experienced this Mercury retrograde period in your 5th house, no less, you're finally realizing that, you actually can live your dream life and you actually can make money off of your own natural born talents and gifts. Now, on the 9th or the 10th of October, once again, this depends where you live, the Sun, Mars and Mercury will all be exactly conjunct at 16 degrees. So this is really about the flow and effect of the new moon in Libra. So if those ideas resonated with you with regard to dating someone new, starting a new relationship, taking your natural gifts and talents a step further and making a career out of them, or even just expanding your own business or opening it back up again, the time to actually plant the seeds or take the next practical step, or actionable step, I should say, is on this date, which is the 9th/the 10th of October. So this is about manifesting your idea into the physical realm. So if you're looking for a launch date for your website or to basically put your idea out there or post about it on social media, do so around that time. Now, between the 6th and the 19th of October, we're going to see 4 planets stationed direct. Now, that will be Pluto stationing direct in Capricorn in your 8th house, Saturn and Jupiter in your 9th house, and then we're going to see our ruling planet stationing direct on the 18th/the 19th of October. Now, I'm going to run through what this means for us Geminis, but essentially with these 4 planets all stationing direct, things are finally going to pick up the pace. I know a lot of people have just felt like things are really stagnant and that it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or things aren't really moving as quickly as you want to. Come the end of October, everything will pick up the pace. And that's because Once we've got these 4 planets being direct, we're going to move into November, where we're going to see an eclipse, and in December there's going to be a total solar eclipse in Sagittarius, and we're going to see the 3rd and final square between Saturn and Uranus. I've jumped way ahead of myself, but nonetheless, let's have a look at how these planets turning direct is going to impact us. So on one level, with Pluto stationing direct in your 8th house, your mutual resources will no longer be capped. So if you're in a relationship with someone else and you've got joint assets or joint resources, or this could be with anyone that you have combined your resources with, so for example, like a business partner, this pay that your partner receives can finally go back to normal. Maybe they were on some kind of temporary pay cut. Maybe their pay has been delayed for some reason, or maybe they're now able to re-enter the workforce. On a different level though, this can see some of you receiving alimony or child support, or even some kind of inheritance or a will that you have been anticipating. With Pluto stationing direct in your 8th house, which is an extremely psychological house, you may just have a lot of epiphanies and some kind of conscious understanding of the root cause of some kind of psychological disturbance. Now, on the 11th of October, with Saturn stationing direct in your 9th house, this can see there being a reprieve from government-imposed delays on things like visas, traveling. Maybe you were waiting for some kind of approval to travel abroad or to relocate, and this could be for work. Now, on a different level, this could see some of you who are involved in ongoing court cases finally proceeding with these court cases. So maybe over the last 5 months, there's been like an adjournment after adjournment, or just, things not going well in that department, but now things can continue to proceed. Now, on the 18th of October, Jupiter will station direct in your 9th house. Now, Jupiter rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships and your 10th house, which represents your public reputation, and of course it's the most visible point in your chart. So wedding plans can go ahead, okay? The 9th house is connected to getting married. Jupiter is as well. It's all about the religious ceremony or the spiritual ceremony, and with Jupiter and Saturn both direct in your 9th house, which once again is connected to marriage and making things official in a legal sense, wedding plans can be back on, which is great. Now, the 9th house also rules over international travel, as does Jupiter, and it rules over your higher education. And of course, Jupiter rules over knowledge and learning. So if you've had some kind of delays or issues with regard to some kind of higher education course that you are partaking in, or with your travel plans, maybe they were put on pause, things can start moving in a more smooth direction. Now, lastly, on the 18th or the 19th of October, Mercury will station direct in Libra. So us Geminis can breathe a sigh of relief, because this is the last Mercury retrograde until early next year. Now, with Mercury stationing retrograde in your 5th house, your relationship with your children or with your grandchildren, or even with someone that you're dating, can finally settle down. You may have actually have reconnected with one of those individuals, especially if you were estranged. You may have sorted out some kind of disagreement or argument with one of those people or more. And on the romantic front, some of you may have gotten back with an ex during this 3-week period where Mercury was retrograde, or you may have broken up officially with this other person, like for good this time. But for those of you who are still in a relationship and you're not back with an ex or not breaking up, you may have just ironed out a few issues in this relationship which were really bugging you. Now, on the 19th of October, we will see Mars in Libra in your 5th house trining Jupiter in Aquarius in your 9th house. So this is actually flowing on from what I just said about restoring the balance in these relationships, because Mars rules over your 6th house, which represents anything which is out of balance. And this trine to Jupiter in your 9th house shows that there is an understanding and an acceptance or even a tolerance for other people's worldviews and their spiritual views. Now, once again, Jupiter rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. So this could be with your significant other, this could be with your second-born child, it could be with a close friend, or perhaps it's with an older sibling or a friend, given that Mars rules over your 11th house, which represents those individuals. Now, you may just be reintroducing fun into these relationships, and especially if this is with your children, because the 5th house represents our children. So you're able to just, see things from the other person's perspective and really fix those issues or those conflicts that were existing in those relationships. Now, on the 20th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries in your 11th house. Now, every time we see a full moon take place, the sun and moon are exactly opposite one another. Now, the sun will actually be conjunct Mars in Libra, which will be in your 5th house, and this full moon will be squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house. So there's a bit of a bittersweet energy here. The 11th house rules over your salary and your gains and receiving some kind of award or achieving something, some kind of long-term goal or dream that you've held. So with this full moon, you may receive some kind of increase in your salary. You may receive a bonus or dividends from something, but the trade-off is that you may have to share this with another individual. And I say that because the full moon is making a square to Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house, which represents your mutual resources. So you may have to share the money that you've earned with another person, or you may just have to use that money to pay off some kind of loan or expense. And that's because Pluto rules over your 6th house, which represents taking out a loan. So maybe you have to pay off your house loan or a car loan or literally just a personal loan. Now, on a different level, you may achieve a long-term goal or dream. Now, this could elevate your status in the public eye. And the reason I say that is because the full moon is making a sextile to Jupiter in your 9th house, and Jupiter rules over your 10th house, which represents your reputation. So maybe you've achieved this goal or this dream and you're like, yes, this is amazing, go me. But then you have to deal with the blow up of your popularity as represented by the 11th house. So you could be going international with your creative gifts or with this goal or with, launching something online on social media. And with this square to Pluto in your 8th house, maybe you kind of have to share stuff about your personal life. Maybe something which you wanted to keep a secret kind of gets released out there into the public eye. And this is kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm really happy that, my social media profile is getting a lot of traction, or that my idea has investors and there's a positive outcome in that respect. But then, you have to deal with maybe confronting your shadow side, because Pluto once again rules over your 6th house. So maybe you need to check your ego, or maybe this is related to your confidence. And there's this disparity between the enormous amount of success that you are receiving and the popularity that you're gaining, and then you're like, wow, I don't know if I feel like I'm worthy of that. In any case, there's a lot to unpack, but it is an overwhelmingly positive full moon, so congratulations if you've achieved some kind of goal. Now, lastly for the month, on the 22nd of October, Mars in Libra in your 5th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house. So this is not everyone's favorite transit. I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's not a great way to finish off the month, but we're in the same boat, and essentially this transit is asking you to look at what you're doing too much of, because Mars represents what we're putting our effort into. Now, given that it's in the 5th house, which represents having fun, and it represents our hobbies and our passions, and Pluto rules over your 6th house, as does Mars, of health and anything which is out of balance. This transit is asking you to look at the ways in which you are being really obsessive or fixating on something. So this could be like focusing way too much on your hobbies and passions and maybe forgetting about, taking good care of yourself. Maybe you're forgetting to eat or you're forgetting to exercise. Now, on a different level, maybe you're focusing way too much on your own business because Mars rules over your 6th house of work and it rules over your 11th house, which represents your dreams and your wishes and your long-term goals. I can tell you from personal experience that when I film these horoscopes, I have to remember to relax, remember to eat, and remember to take breaks because I just do this for 4 days straight and I've got Pluto in the 5th house, so I'm really obsessive about my hobbies and passions, but this is your reading, on a different level with Mars ruling over your 6th house of health. You may have to deal with some kind of uncomfortable issue, and this could be within your romantic relationship because Pluto in the 8th house represents your sexual intimacy. Now, you may actually have to go and see a doctor because you may have concerns about some kind of sexually transmitted disease or some kind of disorder of a sexual nature. On a different level, you and your partner may be consulting a specialist about IVF treatment, or you may just be going to test your fertility levels. Now, lastly, for those of you who are in a relationship, you may just be confronting some kind of power imbalance in that relationship. Maybe one of you is quite controlling or has very strict ideas about what the other person should be doing, and that's especially with regard to your health. And for the last transit of the month, which will be Mars entering Scorpio on the 30th or the 31st of October, I'm actually going to cover that at the very start of the November horoscope because this one is way too long. So thank you so much for sticking around and for watching this horoscope. If it resonated with you, please drop me a comment. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I hope you enjoy the month ahead and see you guys next month.